G'day legends. I tell you what, this is going to be an absolute cracking day for me because I'm going to be talking to you about the pride and joy Old Yella. Let's start from the beginning. It's a nice summer's day, near Christmas time like it is now. I'm scrolling through eBay, as you do, not looking for anything in particular, just really, really cool stuff. I stumbled across, well, Old Yella, in completely different form to how it is today. It had split rims on it. It was in probably far better condition because it hadn't been used, it had been restored. Like, it was an absolute glamour. So instead of bidding on this car, because he had a couple of things there that I had to ask questions for, I rang this man. I put a decent bid on eBay, I won the car, and yeah, the rest is history, as you would say. I drove down to Vegas and I got in this thing and I drove it home, and ever since that day, I've had the biggest smile on my face. Yes, probably took me an extra 45 minutes to get from Brisbane to Toowoomba. More time for smiling, in my opinion. I got it back to Toowoomba and I drove this thing for many years, nearly 5 years, that I've been driving this thing around in stock form. You know, it just wasn't quite cutting it for me. I wasn't doing any trips in it. It was just a, you could call it a pub hopper or going to the shops hopper, whatever you did. You just drove it to put some smiles on my face at no particular time. I just open the shed one day, look at some other cars, and I go, Old Yella's it for me. But I wasn't camping out of it. I wasn't using it on trips. I wasn't doing anything with it because obviously it's limited on space. And obviously I'm a family man, wife, couple of kids. There's no space to put them in this. Times have, changed. Kids have got a bit older, doing a bit of fishing and camping with the kids. The wife doesn't want to go with me. So Old Yella it is. Strap the swags to the roof rack, put the fishing rods on, and Hannah and Aiden, we're gone. Straight to the beach. Anyway, you don't want to hear about all that crap of me going on holidays. You want to see what we've done to Old Yella. So, let's start with the wheels and tyres. These things here are a Dick CPEC tyre. Now, you get them from Dynamic Wheel Co. They are an absolutely fabulous tyre. I've mated them to the classic MT wheel, Mickey Thompson, like just a fabulous combination. I reckon it worked really well with the yellow. The brightness of the polished alloy wheel, which isn't quite that polished anymore because, let's face it, we take it to the beach, we take it to the scrub, we use it. That's what we built it for. Well, here we are with the big high mount worn winch. When I was taking this car from completely bog stock, okay, with no sort of accessories on it at all, except for an original sagged 2-inch lifted suspension, which I'll chat about in a second. I really, really love the look of these worn high mount winches. I think they go with the 40 series so well, and they're sort of era specific. This worn winch, another story, scrounging through Marketplace, and yeah, I came across this winch for sale, Toyota Fleet Winch. And that caught my eye. I'm like, really, what, Toyota Fleet Winch? So these were an option on government-built type cars. They were on a 70 series Landcruiser, so a little bit later than this, mid to late 80s, maybe early 90s. I thought that's gonna match in with Old Yella. So drove down to Vegas again, picked myself up this awesome little winch. It had been used, that's the old rope and all that sort of stuff from when I got it. We just made some mounts on the front. I didn't want to run the big bull bar. I didn't want to run the spotties on the front here. Yeah, so this was just, to me, going to set the vehicle off absolutely perfect. And obviously it doesn't have diff locks, this car. So instead of going and spending all that money when you get yourselves in that predicaments and putting diff locks in it and putting yourself in the really, really crappy spots where you could probably do some damage to the car, I thought, you know what, we'll run a decent winch that, has got heaps of pulling power, reasonably fast, to get you out of those places and get you to where you need to be. Worn high mount winch was it. Era specific Toyota fleet winch, just a cracker. Well, here we are at the suspension. The suspension is nothing special. Now, the springs that are in it are still the ones that we got with the car when I bought it off eBay. The only thing I've done to it is I've put some shocks in it. When I last took it to Fraser Island, it was just a little bit too ordinary. The shocks were buggered and yeah, weren't doing their job at all. So reached out to my mates at Dobinson's down there, Matt in Brisbane, and chatted to him, and I got myself a set of basic shocks. Like, let's face it, it's a leaf sprung car. Doesn't matter what type of shocks you put in it, it's not really going to make it ride much better, but you do need it to dampen okay. So suspension, extremely basic. Still got the sag 2-inch lifted front springs in it, and yeah, just a new set of Dobinson shocks. Well, nothing really exciting where I'm standing here, but something pretty cool, I reckon, is that we made this little aerial bracket because I didn't want to have it, on a bull bar, didn't want to have it on the bumper bar, didn't want it really in my face. So you can buy the high lift jack mounts, Mr. Landcruiser up at Caboolture. Just look them up online, they have them readily available. And that sort of gave me the idea. I thought, I want something to match my high lift jack mount for the aerial on the other side. So we just wanted to utilise these couple of bolts here, just below the windscreen, and perfect spot for the UHF. I'll get to the UHF in a minute, but the UHF is stashed in the glove box in there, and that little cable there does have nowhere to run really. Like it's very, very short run for the cable. It just makes it really nice and neat. The only thing I had to do, I had to drill a hole in here, which I didn't think was a big deal, because we've got a beautiful little rubber grommet that seals all that up. But I think having that aerial there, I think it really looks the part. It's really functional, out of the way, nice short run for your cable. Yeah, happy days. But while we're here, we'll chat about something else. Now, when I got the car, we've got these old school Toyota mirrors. Probably doesn't mean much to you, but having something so standard like this, it's just really cool. It takes you back in time. You know, they're very faded and all that sort of stuff, but they're still hanging on. From an early 80s car to now, I think that's phenomenal. Well, while we're on this side of the car, and before I touch on what was really up there, we've got the old Dart Eclipse 180-degree awning. Now, it's not a huge awning, but it is big enough for me to have my little stretcher here and my swag laid out. It can rain, I'm not going to get super wet. You know, it's just a cracking little awning, doesn't take up too much space. You know, fits the build of this car superbly in my opinion. But yeah, let's go for a bit of a walk around to the back of the car and I'll show you what I've got in there. Well, this is my little humble home away from home. This is how it's all set up. It's really quick and easy. So you pull up, whether you're on the beach, in the forestry, beside a creek, whatever, you swing them back doors open. You want a quick feed, you pull that kitchen out, you set it up like you saw. It's starting to get a bit dark. I'll just turn around, flick them lights on. How simple is that? So, little switch mounted in the door here. Now, that hooks up to these little Light Force work lights. So, daytime, nighttime, I am super set up. I've got the little 30-litre My Coolman fridge in there. It's got enough space for cold beer, it's got enough space for your nice steaks and sausages and whatever else, and you know, your veggies and salad. It is enough to go away for a few days, no trouble at all. So you're wondering how I utilise the rest of the limited amount of space I've got in Old Yella here? Well, I'll give you a bit of a description. Beside the fridge, we've still got a little bit of space on top of the drawers there. So I've got some case water you just buy from, you know, the supermarket and whatever else, and then it steps down off the side of the drawer into where the wheel arch sort of goes. So over the top of that, I've got my chair on the driver's side here, and on the passenger side, I've got the drifter fire pit and the hot rocks. So fabulous little setup. You can have your little fire pit off the ground, cook on that if you want to, if you don't want to pull the kitchen out to get that authentic camping feel. So yeah, limited on space, but I seem to be able to jam heaps and heaps of stuff in there. Plus, you've got your drawers. So there's some cooking utensils and all that sort of stuff in one set of drawers, and then you've got your tools and all the rest of stuff in the other. Well, that's a bit of a rundown of what's in the back, the kitchen setup and all that sort of stuff. But what do you do when you need to wash up? Well, pretty cool. On the top of that rack, we've got a big 70-litre water tank, And it's so simple, it's right here, it's only gravity fed, so you push that door aside, and look at that, you've got the water right there to do whatever you want with. If you fill it with clean water, you could drink it, there's no worries about that, but I mainly use it for washing up and washing your hands and doing all that sort of jazz. Here we are in the cab of Old Yella. Very, very short of bells and whistles, I can tell you. Not many switches. It's got the metal dash, and it is in really, really good nick. Obviously the BJ47 has a bit of a different steering wheel to the 40s and the 45s and whatever else. A little bit more modern. I quite like the older steering wheels in the older cars. They got the round pad there, but I digress. In here, obviously, windscreen wipers, a few other different bits and bobs, but the main thing under that section there, I've kept the original stereo. I didn't want to deface the dash from its original look. So what I've got in the glove box, I have got the GME XRS UHF, and I have a Bluetooth stereo. Now that stereo leads into two big 6x9s that are in a box that behind this seat. Because I didn't want to cut any holes or anything like that in any of the interior. So that was the best thing, plus that space there was a little bit underutilized because where the drawers finish to the seat, very limited. So those boxes have got a bit of a taper on them. Works absolutely spot on. So you move along in here, I've got a fire extinguisher behind the seat here, and I've got a compressor. It's not a twin pump, it's a single pump compressor, but that is all I need. That compressor is linked to a hard line that pushes out beside the fridge. So when you're in the back, you plug your air lead in, you know, you can cruise around, you can pump up all your tyres. I mean, very, very basic, but extremely functional. So down on the floor here, thanks to Mr. Landcruiser, I pulled in there, check out that video. I bought myself 2 drink holders. Now, they're that basic, there's no drink holders in these things. So having those is just one of the creature comforts that makes this thing, you know, a little bit more bearable on those trips. Not much else to talk about in here really. I've got a little interior light behind me. Doesn't work when you open the doors, they're that basic, you got to flick it on yourself, but it's all part of the fun. I love it. Well, here we are on the driver's side of the car. Now, where do you put your high lift jack? Well, on a 40 series, it's really, really cool because you got the little step there. Now, I buy these little mounts from Mr. Landcruiser. They come in a brushed stainless finish. So I painted it black though, match all the rest of the colour scheme on the car, but how cool is that? They're super, super simple to fit. Undo those 2 screws, you screw it back on with that on there, get your high lift jack, bolt that little flat plate on, and happy days. And no better place for it. Makes the car look super, super duper in my opinion. Well, there's a lot going on up the top here with this rack. Now, obviously I'm sitting on the 2 10-litre jerry cans. What a perfect seat for when you're strapping down your swag and everything on this nice open area. So the nice open area here, camping stuff goes here, like extra chairs, extra swags, you take the kids or whatever else, it all goes in this area. I've got little tie down points here, it's very, very easy. Just ratchet strap over the top, happy days. But up the front, in front of this open area, I have a 70-litre water tank. As you can see previously when I was cruising down around the side there when I had the kitchen out, the tap is just down there on the ladder. Super functional, super easy to use. There's a little filler here on the tank, super easy to use. If you get your hose up here and fill it up, I've got the breather that runs around, it's tucked away the front of the rack there. Now, on top of that water tank, I have a solar panel. Now, it's one of those super thin ones. It's not intrusive, you know, it's very robust. If you've got extra long stuff and you've got stuff packed in here, it can lay over the top of it. Yeah, you're not going to get much sun, but you know, it's not going to break either. And the best thing about having a solar panel on a little setup like this is you can sit there for a few days, fishing in your favourite spot, living out of it, using your lights, fridge still going, and you're still getting your charge into your vehicle. I think it's a must if you're going to build a little bit of a touring vehicle that you're going to get away in camping. A solar panel, you know, is a really, really good addition to your vehicle. On the side here, I've got a little bit of a PVC pipe that I can run extra fishing rod in, or I can run tent poles or whatever else you want in there. You know, just a great little area for some extra space, the storage space. And then on the side here, I've got the old Darcher clip awning. As I explained before, it's a little 180-degree one. On the side of the rack there, I've got some pieces that got welded onto the side that push it out, that hold this little PVC and holds the awning. Now on top of that, it was a bit wasted space, so I went and got myself some fishing rod holders. Now they are a cracking addition to this because I can fit my beach rods in there and any other style of fishing rod. Keeps it out of the way, stops it from being damaged, really functional storage spot. Obviously I've got the fishing rod holders on the left side here, but on the opposite side, I have got my axe mount and my shovel mount. Two items that are a must as well when you go away camping. Shovel for digging yourself out, coals in the fire, whatever else you need, axe for chopping wood. You know, I don't take a chainsaw with me much, so if you're on the track and you come to a tree that's fallen over the track, well, you still got the axe. Yeah, it's a little bit old school, a little bit of effort, but hey, still gets you out of strife. On the sides below the awning and below the axe and shovel mounts, I've got some work lights. Now, that lights up the whole car. I've got one at the back that shines over the kitchen, and I've got the ones that come out the sides. You know, massive amounts of light, super easy to get around and camp out of. And while we're talking about lights, my favourite addition to this vehicle, I've got the 4 round spotlights up the front there, mounted to the rack. I reckon it makes the car look unreal. It just really brings a different vibe to the car. It's just like, look at me, I'm a staunch little rocket. Yeah, some of you may wonder if I'm scared of the dark as well. Well, let's not go there because it gets a little bit scary out in the bush at night time, doesn't it? But anyway, that's the setup on the roof. Yeah, my little spin on it. I think it's pretty cool. What do you reckon? Well, that's the quick run through of my little BJ42. As you can tell, I'm in absolutely love with this vehicle. I've customised it to my personality, what I like the look of and all that sort of stuff. How about you guys tell me, what do you think of this vehicle? You know, I've got some other little videos coming out saying what I like and dislike about the car, so stay tuned for them. But I really want to hear from you guys about how you would change this vehicle to suit you, or what you would add, or do you like what I've done? Do you think that you'd just leave it and you'd love to drive it the way it is? Comment below, and I look forward to chatting to you on the next video. Cheers, guys.